Hello, and welcome to this video on understanding different market types. In this video, we will explore the different ways farmers and producers can sell their vegetables and products. By the end of this video, you will be able to explain the difference between direct and indirect markets, describe different types of markets like farmers markets, CSA programs, wholesale, and retail, and begin thinking about which market might be the best fit for you and your business. As we go through this lesson, I encourage you to think about your own situation. Ask yourself, do I enjoy talking with people? Do I prefer working independently? Do I want to earn higher prices or sell larger volumes? How much time can I spend on selling, delivery, or marketing? Remember, there is no single best market. The best choice depends on your goals, your personality, and your resources. Before we talk about selling, let's start with something familiar: buying food. Think about your everyday life. Where do you usually buy food? Maybe from a grocery store, a farmer's market, a restaurant, a small neighborhood shop, a food truck, or a CSA or subscription service. Now think more deeply. Why do you shop at those places? Is it because they are convenient, affordable, high quality, or fresh, or because you enjoy the experience? These are the same questions your future customers will ask when deciding where to buy food. Understanding this helps you think like a customer, not just a producer. Now, let's take that idea one step further. When you buy food in these different places, where is the farmer? Are they standing in front of you selling directly? Or is there another business between you and the farmer? For example, at a farmer's market, the farmer is right there. At a grocery store, the farmer is not present. This simple question helps us understand the two main types of markets. Before we continue, let's define a few key terms. A farmer is a person who grows food. A producer is anyone who creates a product. This could include farmers or food businesses. A customer is the person who buys the product. And a consumer is the person who eats or uses the product. Sometimes people use the words customer and consumer interchangeably. We also have 4 important market terms: direct-to-consumer markets, indirect markets, wholesale markets, retail markets. We will take a closer look at each of these markets in the next part of the video. Let's start with direct-to-consumer markets. A direct-to-consumer market is when the farmer sells directly to the consumer face-to-face. There is no middle business involved. This means that you talk directly to customers, you set your own prices, and you build relationships with the people buying your food. One of the most common direct markets is the farmer's market. At a farmer's market, you sell your products in a shared space with other farmers, and customers come specifically looking for local, fresh food. One key idea here is variety. Customers are often more interested in a stand that offers different vegetables, multiple products, and more choices. Variety can help attract more customers and increase sales. Let's talk about money. At a farmer's market, the farmer keeps most of the money from each sale, but not all of it. Some money goes toward market booth fees, sales taxes, and transportation and setup costs. So while prices are higher, there are still costs to consider. Farmers markets can be a great option if you enjoy talking with people, building relationships, and earning a larger share of the money customers spend. However, they also take time and energy, require you to grow a high variety of products, and require strong communication skills since you are interacting with customers throughout the day. Another type of direct market is a CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture Program. In a CSA, customers sign up in advance, they pay ahead of time, and they receive produce regularly, usually weekly. This can be through pickup locations or home delivery. CSA programs are often very convenient for customers because they don't have to shop each week. In a CSA, the farmer keeps most of the money because there are no market fees. This is because there are no middle businesses involved. Customers are paying you directly. CSA programs are helpful because they provide predictable income, help with planning your production, and build loyal, long-term customers. However, they require strong organization, consistent production, and delivery or coordination systems. Now let's look at indirect markets. In these markets, the farmer and the consumer are not face-to-face. Instead, another business connects them. This changes how you sell, how you communicate, and how you get paid. In wholesale markets, the system usually works like this. As the farmer, you sell your products in large quantities to a wholesaler. The wholesaler is a business that collects food from many farms, stores it, and organizes delivery. Next, the wholesaler sells those products to a retailer, such as a grocery store or restaurant. Finally, the retailer sells the food to the consumer, who eats it. So, instead of selling directly to the person eating the food, your product moves through two different businesses before it reaches the customer. Wholesale markets typically require large volumes of product, consistent quality, and a reliable supply. This means you need to plan production carefully. Farmers keep part of the money, and wholesalers keep part for storage, transportation, staffing, and marketing. Because more people are involved, the price you receive is usually lower. So, looking at wholesale markets overall, this option works well if you prefer spending more time growing rather than selling, if you're able to produce large quantities, and if you want consistent buyers for your products. But there are also some important things to think about. In wholesale, you usually get lower prices per product, and you may have higher costs because you need to grow more food at a larger scale. Buyers also expect consistent quality and packaging, and you often have less control over your pricing. So while wholesale can save you time on selling, it also requires careful planning and investment. Now, let's look at another type of indirect market, retail markets. In a retail market, you are not selling directly to the consumer. Instead, you are selling your product to a retail business. That means your food will still go through another step before it reaches the person who eats it. So even though you are selling your product, you are not the final seller to the customer. Let's take a closer look at how this works. In retail markets, there is still a third party between you and the consumer. The system looks like this. Farmer to retailer to consumer. The retailer acts as the middle step. They are the ones interacting directly with customers and selling your product in their store or business. So while you are connected to the market, you are not face-to-face with the final buyer. So who are these retailers? Retailers can include businesses like restaurant chefs who buy your produce to prepare meals, and small grocery stores or corner shops who sell your products to customers. These businesses are your direct buyers, even though they will resell the product. This means success in retail markets often depends on building strong, reliable relationships with these business customers. In retail markets, the farmer keeps part of the money, and the retailer keeps part. The retailer uses their share to pay for things like staff, rent, and store operations. So, looking at retail markets overall, this can be a really good option if you want to sell directly to businesses and if you enjoy building relationships with buyers like chefs or store owners. When it comes to pricing, retail usually falls somewhere in the middle. You'll often earn more than you would in wholesale, but less than if you were selling directly to customers. Because of that, retail can feel like a middle ground between high-touch direct sales and large-volume wholesale. It's a balance between relationship building and consistent sales. So to conclude this video, we've looked at several different market types, from direct markets like farmers markets and CSAs to indirect markets like wholesale and retail. Each option works a little differently, and each one has its own benefits and challenges. The most important thing to remember is that there is no single best market. The right choice depends on your goals, your skills, your resources, and how you prefer to work. Some farmers enjoy building relationships with customers, and others prefer focusing on growing and producing. And many farmers use more than one market as their business grows. As you continue, start thinking about which market feels like the best fit for you right now. You don't have to decide everything today, but beginning to think about your direction is an important first step. Thank you for joining this video on market types.